Have you ever wondered what happens at an amusement park after midnight? Because most people assume that it just shuts down and goes quiet till morning, but what I experienced proved that's far from the truth. And what we discovered there changed how I will see amusement parks forever. Because one day, me and my friends decided to go to an amusement park with one goal: find a way to stay after they closed. We wanted to see what it would be like to have the whole park to ourselves. But what started as an exciting midnight adventure quickly took a terrifying turn. If you're anything like my friends and I, every time you guys try to hang out with each other, the conversation goes the exact same way. Guys, do you want to hang out this weekend? Sure, let's do it. Okay, cool. What should we do? And then because no one has an idea of what we should do, we either end up doing nothing or we just play video games with each other. But one day, we got tired of doing the same thing every weekend. And after asking the same question of what we should do, my friend Jake suggested that we go to an amusement park. At first, none of us were really feeling that because we'd been there plenty of times and it was expensive, but none of us had a job. I'm sorry. None of us had a job. Okay, I can say it. None of us had a job. Sorry, I can't stand saying that word. It's very triggering for me. So we were just like, nah, we don't really want to go to an amusement park. We know what to expect. But then my friend said, well, what if we stay overnight? I don't know what Mr. Beast video he watched to give him this idea, but it caught our attention. Confused on what exactly he meant by staying overnight, we asked him, and he told us that we should try staying after they closed, because we could have the park all to ourselves and explore these rides when there's no workers. One of my friends, who's usually the guy to talk us out of dumb ideas, said, how would we do that? They would kick you out of the park when they close. But that was when Jake told us about his older brother that used to work there. And apparently, there was a room in the park that was basically a storage unit. But he said his brother would take lunch breaks in there all the time because no one would ever come inside. So just like that, our plan was born. We all told our parents we were spending the nights at each other's houses so none of them would question where we were at. We arrived to the amusement park around 5 p.m. and the first thing we did was find our hiding spot. We sat outside that storage unit door for about an hour just to make sure that no one ever actually went inside there. And my friend's brother was right. No one did. So a couple hours later, when the closing announcement finally went over the intercom saying that the park was officially shut down and everyone needed to leave, it was go time. The official message warned visitors that the park was closed and everyone needed to find their way out to the exit. So as people are all going that way, when the coast was clear, we snuck inside that room. And my friend's brother definitely wasn't lying. No one ever went inside that place. Because the second we opened that door, I inhaled a tornado of dust into my nostrils. It looked like that room hadn't been touched in ages. Although what my friend's brother did not tell us was just how small this storage unit was. Because there were 4 of us, and this place was about as big as a luxury apartment in New York City. Which in other words, means it was horribly small. We were pretty much all touching legs with each other, just not moving. And I'm pretty sure one of my friends liked that because every time we would scrape legs against each other, he would look at me like this. I still can't tell if he was being sarcastic or not to this day. It also had a wild smell in there, which I don't know what it was, and I don't think I ever want to find out. So we sat there for an hour after closing just to be safe, doing nothing but sitting, not saying a single word, trying to be as quiet as possible. About 45 minutes after closing, we heard 2 security guards walk super close by the door. We saw their flashlights creep underneath. We heard the static from their radios, but I don't think they wanted to come smell the stench that was coming out of this room, so they just walked right by. Then finally, the park lights shut off. 10 minutes later, we heard a big metal clang sound, which was the front gates being shut. Finally, we knew it was time. We tiptoed out, keeping our flashlights low, just in case there were any security guards still there. But after walking around for a couple minutes, we realized the park was completely empty. But little did we know, we weren't alone. When we thought we successfully stayed past closing time without anyone seeing us, we started to get really excited. We realized just how cool this was because the rides were completely still, there wasn't a noise coming from anywhere, and we had the whole place to ourselves. I couldn't believe how different the park looked. During the day, the amusement park is bright colors and big lights all over the place, but now, there wasn't a single one. It made the whole park look like something from a weird dream. It felt like walking through a different dimension. So with the whole park to ourselves, there was only one thing to figure out. What do we do first? Jake immediately pointed to the tallest silhouette in the night sky, indicating that we should go on the roller coaster called Accelerator. Accelerator was this massive roller coaster that shot straight up into the sky, making it feel like you were on a spaceship. It went so high up that it pretty much got as close to space as Katy Perry did a few weeks ago. And it had a drop so steep that it made your stomach feel like it was trying to come out of your mouth. During the day, the line for this ride took hours. We sprinted across the empty park like a dog when you let it off its leash. And once we got there, we climbed right over the barriers and approached the carts. Obviously the rides weren't running at this time, but just sitting in that front cart while the ride was off almost felt more cool than riding it when it was on. One of my friends said it felt like being in a zombie movie, but before the zombies actually show up, which sounded funny and cool in the moment, but little did we know, that would be pretty accurate to what would happen later. Because as we were messing around on the roller coaster, suddenly, a violent noise came from the distance, which sounded like a machine powering up. I thought one of us figured out how to turn the roller coaster on at first, but we all heard this same noise, and it freaked us out, so none of us were laughing anymore. We all stared at each other, making sure that we were on the same page, and then we listened carefully. After that loud sound, it was followed by a low hum with what sounded like gears shifting. There were so many things it could have been. Maybe it was security returning. Maybe someone spotted our lights from outside the park and they were coming to get us. But we didn't see any lights or noises from humans, so that seemed like a long shot. But after hearing that noise, a collective thought went through all of us. We weren't alone. One of my friends suggested that we go check the noise out because the last thing we wanted was to get caught while being on the roller coaster. We know that would have brought big trouble. They probably would have punished us by turning it on while we were on the track. That might be a bit extreme, but I knew it would have been bad if they caught us there. But I didn't think checking out the noise was a good idea either, because what good ever comes from that? So I told my friend that, but after a vote, I was the only one who didn't want to go check the noise out. And of course, I was right. Checking that noise out would end up being a huge mistake, because this is when things started to get weird. Really, really weird. While passing the carnival games section, my friend grabbed my arm, squeezing it super tightly, and I could feel him shaking as he whispered to me, "Do you see something?" Considering I have the vision of a grandma trying to drive on the freeway, I looked where he was pointing, but I didn't see anything at first. Then Jake asked what my friend saw. He said something had moved in between two booths about a couple 100 feet away, and by the shakiness in his voice, we knew he wasn't pulling a prank. Because this man was in a school play when he was younger, and he was awful. He could not act this good, and he'll tell you that firsthand. So we all stared at the spot he was pointing to, but the security lights barely reached that area, so we really couldn't see anything. But then, something tall shifted between two booths, moving from one side to another. We had absolutely no idea what it could have been, because whatever it wasn't human. It was tall. Way taller than a normal person, and moved with a strange rhythm like something straight out of Five Nights at Freddy's. I just wanted to get home to my mama, but of course, no one agreed. Everyone else decided, hey, let's go check out the noise from that freakishly tall, weird-looking creature over there. This is why I don't got many friends anymore. They always try to do stuff that'll get them sent into a Saw movie, so I'm like, nah, we're not hanging out. I told them the idea to go check out whatever that was sounds insane, considering how tall and freakishly that thing was moving. Jake countered me by saying it could have been something like a mannequin, and it was nothing to be scared of at all. Note to self, never trust a word Jake says again, because that man had no idea what he was talking about. But while we were debating our next move, I saw another figure move, but this time, by the Ferris wheel. It was doing the same exact weird motions as the other one we saw. And now, I was starting to get paranoid. I whispered to the group that I just saw another one of these figures, and Jake said we need to do something and figure out what these things are, because now, we might be in real danger. My mind raced through every horror movie about amusement parks. What is it? A killer clown? A possessed mannequin? Whatever it was, they were terrifying. As we were hiding, watching these things, one of the figures looked straight at us. Though it was still too far to make out a face, we could tell its body was now facing straight towards us. We all kind of agreed that it was time to go. No one argued with me anymore. So we huddled together behind that cart, trying to figure out an escape plan. Jake whispered to us saying, "We can't go through the exit. It's on the other side of the park, right past all these figures." I suggested using the employee exit near the water rides, and that seemed like our best option, because this was the one way to escape that was the opposite direction of these creepy creatures. So we agreed that we would count to 3 and sprint to the exit, staying together as a group. I honestly didn't really like this plan,